Can the Buccos avoid the four-game sweep at the hands of the Atlanta Braves? Hey, they have Joe Musgrove, who was supposed to start the first game before he was ejected after hitting Josh Donaldson with a pitch on a very controversial call. By the way, on our archives, on the now most followed Facebook page of any sports radio station in the Tri-Cities. Of course, we've got 2% of what WFAN has, but nevertheless, but right here, we're the big fish in a small pond, okay? And we're proud of that, and that's going to help your business out advertising on Jet Broadcasting. Remember, Jet Broadcasting makes your business soar. This has the Asian House, which you can go to right now. Still have the lunch deals, I believe, for $5.99 for all the pork and chicken dinners, and the beef and shrimp are $6.29. I say dinners, lunches. They go up for a couple of bucks for dinner, okay, but not much. But the Happy Box is where it's at. With you got the 20 traditional Chinese dinners, the veggies, the rice, and crab lagoons, and the egg rolls, and all that. I mean, that's where it's at right there. But if you don't like Chinese, or if you do like Chinese, but you want something, I don't know, more protein, maybe a little bit lighter, the Japanese fare's there. Now, they've got the grill. They've got the sashimi. They've got the sushi roll. And I'm telling you right now, Kevin True, our sales manager, raves about the sushi rolls. And that's a great lunch. I keep pressing it. That is a great lunch. Lunch, I mean, you have a hamburger or something like that. Grease, it's going to slow you down. That doesn't happen with sushi. And I need to tell tomorrow my beautiful women love Japanese food story. But, boy, this one's a little tough. I'm trying to think how to do it, being classy as well as controversial, as well as a little guy talk, Stay tuned for that tomorrow. We'll talk about how the pretty girls all like the Japanese food. So if you're looking for a place to take your date, guys, Asian House. They're open until 10. All right. Treat her. Something exotic. Show that you're a man of something other than meat and potatoes. I like meat and potatoes. They've got soups and salads as well. You know what? I'm trying to think. Okay. There's a lot of meat. As I said, shrimp, chicken. I believe they even have duck at the Asian House. They're right there in the shops in West Market. On your way to Jonesboro on 321 11E West Market Street. You know what it is. Or from Jonesboro, Greenville, on to Johnson City. Go there now. They're closed on Mondays, by the way. Bucks are leading the Braves 2-1. I was mentioning that. They are in the bottom of the fourth inning. So kind of a slow-moving ball game. We're almost 2 hours in, and it's only in the bottom of the fourth. Okay. By the way, history will be made tonight in Nebraska. Now, this is baseball trying to do, I don't know. They try to do something, let's play games overseas. I get it. Now, let's play games in Omaha, Nebraska. Why? To try to promote the College World Series. Or it could be that since this is the first game in the history of Nebraska, first Major League game in the history of Nebraska, that Kansas City and Detroit, which on a Thursday night would probably not draw that many fans, but in Omaha, previewing the College World Series, it's something neat. It's something new. It's a chance to sell 24,500 seats that otherwise would not be sold in either Kansas City or Detroit. Really. By the way, Royals, Whit Merrifield, you remember the 2010 College World Series, he gave South Carolina their first national championship with a walk-off hit in the CWS. But they're playing it in Nebraska today. No, it is not going to be Norris. It's going to be Matt Boyd on the bump for the Tigers. Interesting, recently, like I said, there have been games played. They're playing some in Williamsport to celebrate the Little League World Series. Of course, historically, the Brooklyn Dodgers, their last 2 years in Brooklyn, who were kind of pushing, we need a new park other than Ebbets Field. We want it in Brooklyn. So they played 8 games in Jersey City. at Roosevelt Stadium. Who knows? Maybe that influenced Robert Moses to say, okay, I'll give you a land for a ballpark. It'll be in Queens. No, we're the Brooklyn Dodgers. No, Queens. That's where the Mets wound up. Okay. Shea Stadium now, the part land of Citi Field. But recently, Major League Baseball has played in Monterrey, Mexico, the Tokyo Dome in Japan. I said Williamsport, PA, Monterrey, Mexico. They've also played in North Carolina. Remember when the Braves 3 years ago played Miami at Fort Bragg Field? So they've played 2 games, Arizona and Los Angeles and Sydney, Australia. They will play a game in London this year. Of course, the Expos were playing some games in San Juan when they were contemplating moving, that sort of thing. Otherwise, places that you wouldn't, states that necessarily you wouldn't think had Major League Baseball games. In '97, 3 games between the Cardinals and Padres were played in Hawaii. In 1996, the Oakland A's, I think they were redoing the Oakland Coliseum so the Raiders could play there. Actually, the Raiders moved in 95, but they may have been doing additional renovations. I'm not sure. But anyway, they played, speaking of the Oakland, in Las Vegas. Played 6 games, Cashman Field in Las Vegas. So Nevada's hosted Major League Baseball games. I mentioned the Brooklyn Dodgers in New Jersey has hosted games. You know where has hosted, what state you wouldn't normally think has hosted a game? We're talking about this because they're going to play Tigers and Royals in Nebraska. First game ever in Nebraska. Rhode Island. Now, that hasn't happened recently, but the Braves played there. Well, the Boston Braves. In Warwick, Rhode Island. Against the Phillies. That was back in 1903. Other states, I mean, there's some neutral sites, but there's been a game 1902 between I think they're the Boston Americans then, and it was the Cleveland Naps, I want to believe. But anyway, between Boston and Cleveland, the franchises that would later be known as the Red Sox and Indians, they played the Jailhouse Flats in Fort Wayne in 1902. So there you go. I know there's been one game in West Virginia, and that occurred, it's actually on Wheeling Island, which is where the West Virginia State High School Football Championships are played. And in 1890, the Pirates played the New York Giants there. The Pirates moved a game there because the Giants' great shortstop, his name was Jack Glasscock. He was a Hall of Fame shortstop. It was towards the end of the year. This was the year of the Players League. The Pirates won 23 games all year, so they decided, we're not going to draw anything in Pittsburgh. Let's make this. Come see the local product, Jack Glasscock, play in Wheeling. They did that in 1890 for a game. And so, yes, West Virginia has hosted a Major League Baseball game. Tennessee is not. At least not on this here. Let me see here. 19th century games. I know that. I was giving you this. Okay, real quick, I'm sure there have been games actually. Well, that's not major leagues, but there was National Association games. Those were the first pro league, but they were not, they were not a major league, but they did play some in Hartford. Then again, I think Hartford did have a team. There was a major league that had a team in Wilmington in 1884, but there was a National Association game played there. Let's go stick with the National League, or what's known as major leagues, and see what states that you wouldn't necessarily think had baseball games did. I mentioned West Virginia before, and see if there were any back in the day played. And I meant of states that I have not mentioned as I am going through. I hope this is not boring radio as you wait with bated breath to find out, did they ever have a game in Tennessee? And the answer is regular season? No. So what's that? Nebraska beating out Tennessee for the first Major League game? Huh? No wonder what Nashville wants a franchise. By the way, did the Yankees want Dallas Keuchel? He'll be joining the Braves, the first place Atlanta Braves staff. By the way, the Phils don't play today, so even if the Braves do fall to the Pirates and they're down in the 4th inning 2-1, and their 6-game winning streak ends, they'll still be in first place by half a game. But there are reports that Dallas Keuchel, the Braves and Yankees were in kind of a bidding war, and the idea was 1-year contract. Braves are willing to give him $13 million for the rest of the year. Yankees 11. But a columnist, Randy Miller of NJ.com, writes, hey, what about if Domingo Germain, who's really come on for the Yankees this year with a 9-2 record, but he's been disabled. I don't like that modern term, injured list. Got to be all politically correct and try to find hate where there isn't any. But regardless, Germain has suffered from a hip injury and went on the injured reserve. And he has a very good point. Because Germain hit his injury, the Yankees allowed their plan A for a rotation upgrade to go elsewhere when the free agent lefty Dallas Keuchel passed on a one-year $11 million offer from the Yankees to sign with the Braves for $13 million. Yanks had known about Germain's hip issue. There's no doubt that management would have looked at Keuchel as more of a necessity than a luxury, and maybe they would have paid him the extra money. Why didn't Keuchel, and so Keuchel not being up front with management, could this cost the Yankees? Could it cost a division title, the Rays? For that matter, I guess the Red Sox aren't that far back and all that. How much longer? Because he's a 9-2 starter. He's a 9-2 starter. He's 26 and all that. Well, leave it to Craig Calcaterra, the man who found the display of the American flag at SunTrust Park's opening too political, to jump up and down now on Randy Miller and say, that's a major stretch. The Yankees could have had him if they won. All they had to do was pay him $2 million, blah, blah, blah. Or let's make it 3. I mean, who's to say that he would have signed with the Yankees if it was an even offer with the Braves? Come on. I understand wanting to be pro player, but there's this feeling then of, right now in baseball coverage, if the team doesn't overspend for the player, they've done wrong. And that's the philosophy there. Look, you know me. I'm going to ask about injuries. I don't care if the coach is going to yell at me or not. Protects the player. The coach that doesn't report injuries is the coach that plays injured players. Now, this being said, the player that doesn't report the injuries, and I kind of understand. Look, I mean, I got an ingrown toenail. No, I'm going to play. No. I'm sick. I'm under the weather. I'll play. Look, I'm the starting center fielder. No, you need me. I know. I get it. And all that. I'm better at 80% than the backup. At what? Okay. But the thing is, shouldn't the player also be telling management? Again, I'm not buying your needs change. You may pay more. I'm buying what Miller is writing. Craig Calcaterra has a problem with that? The modern day sports writer sometimes just doesn't get how business is run. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. All right, tomorrow we will be talking to Jerry Bonkowski of NBCSports.com. He'll be talking to us not about NASCAR, they're off this week, but NHRA. Thunder Nationals going on in Bristol this week. And of course at 1:30 it's Josh Brown of Knockoma Nation. And we might talk about Dallas Keuchel signing with the Braves and his first start coming up. We'll certainly talk about Austin Riley and maybe even about this ball game that's been played, and also a little bit about what his thoughts were about that brawl that wasn't, which resulted in a suspension for Josh Donaldson, an injection for today's Pirates starting pitcher Joe Musgrove in the first game of this series. Going to be interesting to talk about. A lot to talk about here. The first place Atlanta Braves. Of course, there's also tonight the 6th game of the NBA Finals. It'll be the Warriors' last game in Oakland. See you tomorrow at noon. Colin Coward's next.
20 WEM.